Hola, ¿qué tal? Hi, how are you?
Hi,
This is
everybody.
Elena. This is Elena Blanco, and I am in Mexico, and I want to present you an amazing guy who is called Nate Kent, who is joining us from Korea. Hola, Nate.
Hi, hola. I'm sorry, my Spanish is very limited. Un poquito. I have like el baño and hola, ¿cómo está? And that's about it. I could
Okay,
count maybe.
it doesn't matter because we have an amazing translator who is Hector Isaac.
That's right. I'm super excited that Hector's with us. Thank you, Hector.
And we're starting with what is the name of this call?
This call is something about from boor to, I don't remember. I was thinking though, how did we miss not calling it from Crashanova to Casanova? Like, like, ah! Anyway,
So in Spanish, it's called the patán galán.
I like how it sounds in Spanish.
Me too.
It's a lot better than in English.
And today, our first question is, why are you here? Are you looking for more opportunities of sex?
I think most people are looking for some of that.
And or are you looking for better experiences?
Well, I think definitely as you have more opportunities, then you can refine what you're looking for. You know, your standards go up. At the beginning, maybe you're looking for anything, and then over time, you kind of figure out, hey, maybe everything isn't the best option here.
So that's a
You
part of
know,
the boor where you're
right?
just like creepy because you're like, oh, you have eyes. Okay, can we hump?
Yeah, we have. You've heard that phrase in English. Any hole's the goal. Have you heard this?
No, but I love it.
Oh, it's okay. Good.
Any hole is the goal. Mhm.
You don't have to use that. Let's just forget I said that.
Okay, so if your goal is any hole is the goal, you're on the right place. But we have a
Or you're
better
allowed also to have higher level
standard.
goals. That's the idea. We're looking for, people who are interested in greater possibilities and more rewarding possibilities in the realms of, like you said, sex, but also things related to sex, and maybe those things that will help you get some sex.
So our proposal today is, what if you could get what you get from sex, which is orgasmic experience, on some other realms of your life? Like, for example, your relationships.
Yeah.
Because it's so funny, they teach us that we have to suffer in relationships in order to get great sex as guys. And in Spanish, they say, uh, women say they like sex to get relationships, and men say they like relationships to get sex. And in case you're gay, you have to like say whatever the other wants.
Right. I don't think that is just in Spanish. I think that applies globally. I know I've certainly experienced those kind of encounters, we'll say. Yeah.
Great. So let's start.
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, looking at all those different elements, and I think you sent out to everyone sort of a breakdown of the things that we'll be looking at in each call. Is that right?
I did. I don't know if they read it, so it doesn't matter.
That's true. It doesn't matter. And I mean, another thing that's important to me, at least, is getting questions from people and addressing the question, because that's why you take a class. I mean, I remember the first Access COP class that I took.
That is
and
when?
the whole,
Sorry?
Oh, that was, well, it wasn't even COP at the time. It was a 2 and 3, like 2000, let's say 8. So it's been a while. Yeah. But I remember I went to that first class, and it was the first time I had been in a bigger class with more people. And the first day I was so frustrated because everybody was talking about things that I didn't think applied to me. And at lunchtime, the facilitator said, "You paid for this class. This is your class. Like, you just ask what you want. Like, this is your class." So regardless of the idea that it has to be about one thing or the other, I mean, those are our ideas, but questions are super helpful. And like, that's why you take a class, is because you want to change something. You have a question.
Okay, so if anyone has a question in Spanish, for example, Hector can translate it for us in this Zoom. If you're here in English, you can totally ask yourself. And if you don't think your English is good enough, you say it in Spanish and I can translate it.
Yeah, questions are welcome at any time. So.
Okay, so I would love to ask Jose, because he's saying he's here for a better relationship. What is a better relationship?
I'm missing the chat here.
Nate.
Might be. Sorry, this is I got a new setup here.
Because I know a lot of persons that are in a relationship, and sometimes what a relationship is for them to not hit me anymore or not scream at me. And sometimes it's just like really fixing something that is unfixable. And sometimes it's just adjusting little things.
Right.
So for me, the first step would be, what do I really want?
Jose, I still can't see the chat.
He just said better
is
relationship.
Better relationship. Yeah. Well, I think, like you said, it's about what works for you. I mean, for some people, the bar is so low that even just a little bit, I mean, a little bit is better for anybody. And some people have less distance to go. But, you know, look at your current relationship, or look at your, there we go. Look at your previous relationship and see, like, oh, I like this part of it. This part worked for me. And then I would have liked to change this, or, you know, this wasn't working so much. So yeah, I mean, you've had more relationships with men than I have. So
the first, okay, I am sorry to say this, and I know you will not like it. No one in this call will like it. If you want less conflicts and regrets, you have to acknowledge that you're wrong. What do you mean, Elena?
to acknowledge that you're wrong.
It's very funny because we are taught, men and women, that the most important thing we can be is right. If I just can prove to you that I am right and you're wrong, and you agree with me, we will both be happy. And what really happens is that the other person, no matter their gender, thinks exactly the same thing in a conflict. So if you acknowledge that you're wrong in their universe, you start in a totally different position than the one you have when you're in a conflict. So if I didn't have to be right, what could I choose here? And I'm going to tell you a little story. I have a client who has been married to a woman for the last 14 or 15 years. And their marriage started a little bit by accident. So what does that mean? She was having a health issue, and they were friends, and he came to live with her because of the health issue. And one thing led to another, and well, they married. And then she became this monster that is jealous, that is always bitching, that is always like terrible with him. And he would be the one who would be try to pacify her, because he was right. He wanted a pacific relationship. And one day he's like, I am leaving. I don't know what to do. And I told him, you're wrong. Just acknowledge you're wrong. And he was like, of course I'm not wrong. She's crazy. I'm not wrong. I'm like, okay, just try it, like a tool. So next day, he called me and said, this tool is magic. I'm like, what? So he is working or something in his living room, and she comes screaming at him, as always. And he turns to her, and for the first time in her life, he says, you know what? You're right. I know I am not the guy you want me to be. What does that mean? I know that in your universe, I am wrong. I am the wrong guy because I don't do whatever you want me to do. So what would you like us to do? And what followed was she lost all her barriers. She lost all her conflict because, one, she was totally surprised. And second, she felt acknowledged. Like, what she wanted is for him to be different according to her standards. And for a while, they could actually talk and see what they really wanted instead of keep on fighting for what they didn't. So what do I mean when I say you have to acknowledge you're wrong? It doesn't mean that you're absolutely wrong. That's what we think. It just means in their universe, the other person's universe, you're not what they would love you to be, whatever that means. Therefore, you are not right. Does that make you wrong in your life? Totally not. You're still right. You're still perfect. You're still amazing. You're still fantastic and awesome. But in negotiation, that is the way you can start. You can see where the other person is starting and see where you can close that gap. So in Access, if in case you have never heard of Access, we have this amazing tool that's called the clearance statement. And can you please say it, Nate, because your English is so much more amazing than mine.
Ha ha ha. The clearing statement for Access is...
My English is wrong.
No. You're right. I'm wrong. You're right. You're right. I'm wrong. You're right.
So this is how the tool works.
Yeah, and it is absolutely amazing because I've used this, and I mean, I know generally we're talking about romantic relationships, but my father and I have had a pretty contentious relationship forever. And with this tool, the conversations that I've had with him have changed dramatically because he loves to be right. He wants to be right. He wants any disagreement, then we have to provide evidence and show who's right and who's the most right. And he's never going to change his mind, regardless of what I tell him or show him. So just telling him, you're right. That's he loves that acknowledgement. He wants to hear that he's right. I don't have to agree with him. But like you said, when somebody is acknowledged for being right, the barriers go down, the fight goes out of them, and it opens up into more of a conversation. It's less of a conflict.
So Jose says, it's me, not you? No. It's a little bit different. You just acknowledge what their point of view is. So, sorry, I am
The
wrong
clearing
because I
statement.
interrupted you. The clearing statement.
No, you didn't interrupt me. Actually, I cut myself off because I wanted to talk more as well. This is going to be fun. The clearing the clearing statement in Access is right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And the first time that I heard this, I didn't understand it at all. And I really wanted to have it explained to me, and I wanted to understand every little part about it. There is a website, theclearingstatement.com, where there's an explanation about it. And also, I think in your BARS manual, there is a short explanation about this as well when you're kind of first introduced to the Access clearing statement. Again, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Now, I can remember some of what that means, but over the years, it has come to mean it doesn't matter what it means. It's just, it addresses things on an energetic level that allows them to change, and they disappear in a sense. So I think you are going to use that clearing statement. So why don't you do that?
So everything that brought up when I said that you have to acknowledge that you're wrong, would you destroy and uncrypt it, please?
Yes.
Right
Right
and
and wrong,
wrong.
good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds.
So what's that trick about this tool? If you do it from sarcasm or irony, like, oh, of course you're right, you just fuel the fight. But if you say, if you acknowledge that in their universe, you're right. No, they are right, sorry. It doesn't matter if what they are right about is that they are wrong. It doesn't matter if they are actually wrong in your universe. And it can be something like, you look so pretty. Oh, no, not at all. No, yeah, you do. Oh, no, I don't. I didn't wash my hair today or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay. And you can just leave it like that. You don't have to convince them. In their universe, they're not. Or if it's something like super a conflict, like, why are you like this? And you're like, I'm not like that. I love you. I feel, I don't know. I try to do everything for you. And it's like, no, you don't, because you looked at whatever. It's like, oh, okay. And so ask yourself, where in the other person's universe, you're not what they expect you to be.
And also, I wanted to address Jose's question about like, it's me, it's not you. There's something energetically about the words right and wrong. Like I understand your question and how they could be similar, but there's something about the words right and wrong. Even a difference between correct or incorrect. So if you say to somebody, you're right, that addresses their desire at a level they don't even acknowledge, but they want to hear that. And so, it does have a little bit of a similar feeling to it, but there's just something about you're right, I'm wrong, and that changes the entire dynamic of the situation. And if you say it maybe 2 or 3 times, many times the person you're talking to, they then become apologetic for you having to say you're wrong, because in their universe, nobody ever wants to be wrong or say they're wrong. And so what you've done is you've changed the dynamic entirely, because, and again, this is with my dad. I wish I had a female example, but we're going to go with dad. It's been, he's then had to backpedal in the strong rightness of his point of view. And he's then looking at me and he's like, oh, I mean, we have a different opinion, so let's talk about it. And so, those barriers come down, and the necessity to be right is then kind of gone, and then it becomes a much more open conversation with a lot more possibility for discussion, as opposed to just those like opposing viewpoints. Yeah. So, and like, you know, like Elena said, not being sarcastic is really the best way to go, because everybody can pick up on the energy of sarcasm, and then that accentuates the situation. But if you really are just present with someone and just say, you're right, I'm wrong about this, you're right. And again, as she said, you're sort of, you're not saying the part which is you're right in your universe for you. You just say you're right, because that then acknowledges what they want to hear. But I would just recommend, you know, playing with this tool a couple times, because I even know about this, but this has been used on me and it still works, even though I know what's happening. So I'll just suddenly flare up or say something, and someone's like, you know what, Nate, you're right. I'm like, I mean, even Miss Elena here, she knows what to do. And yeah.
And it's funny because then it can become this fight about who's right. Like, oh, you're right. Oh, no, you're right. No, you're right. It's not about that. It's more like, oh, I see your point. You know, you don't even have to say the words, you're right. Like, oh, wow, I haven't considered that.
Right.
So what does the other person, Jose, would like you to be or do that you have not been willing to be or do, that keeps you fighting against you? Oh my God. And everything that brought up, would you please destroy and uncreate it?
Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, online, shorts, boys, and beyonds.
So how do you approach someone when you want to start something, Mr. Nate?
Wait, ask that question again. I really want to hear this.
How do you approach someone when you really want something with them or from them? So we can tell them how we two met.
How did we meet? Wow. I don't know. I think you just like getting your shoulders rubbed. Is that incorrect?
So I was lying on a bed in an access class, and Nate was going around rubbing women's feet.
Hey, I'm not. I mean, it's just Hector, dude. I'll rub your feet anytime. Don't worry about it.
That's true. He rubs women's and men's feet, and he's an amazing energy worker. So I was just looking at him and thinking, oh, I want some piece of that. And he comes and approaches me, and we're talking about two people that have done a lot of access classes inside an access class. And he comes and approaches me and says, you know what? You can just ask. You don't have to pull so hard.
Yeah, I do. I do remember that now. I do. And that's yeah, that's really funny that I said that, because I guess I've become much more aware of energy and people pulling energy and pushing energy and things like that. But yeah, it's interesting how many people at classes will pull so hard, and how few people will just come up and say, excuse me, like, hey, how about this or that or something else? Like, yeah.
So what I really would like to talk about is this part of the energetics. Because what we think we have to do when we are not aware of energy is go and talk to them and then tell them or let them know about the need or the emotion they create on us? How would you say that? Like we feel about when we see them.
Oh, when we want to approach someone, or when we know they want to approach us?
No, when we want to approach someone.
Right. So, I would say, I think that it's changed now, but I think years ago, when I would feel attracted to someone, I would not, first of all, not go talk to them because I'm a big chicken. And then I would sort of pull energy or stare creepily at them, not creepily, but try to make eye contact or something, and that didn't go well. But there was this energy of energy, like desperation in a sense, like an energy of lack, and it wasn't something that was attractive to them. Does that make sense? Yeah.
And what is very interesting is when you do that, the energy that is felt is pulling and not pushing. Sorry, pushing and not pulling. That means
right. I was going to say
when you stare creepily at someone, the part of the creepy is where you're pushing energy, and this works both for men and for women. When someone is doing that, what you feel is not attraction. What you feel is need to run away.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like you said, if you feel that you're unaware of energy, or you don't have that sense or that ability, first of all, you're probably lying to yourself. And like, you can develop this. Just ask for it. You can play with energy, even at the most basic level. You can just put your hands together, or you can like play with animals or plants or something. But the easiest thing to do is just ask the energy to do that. So like, if you've been in a bars class and the facilitator says like, put your hands here and pull the energy, you're like, how do I do that? You just ask the energy to move. And in a coffee shop, you can go and practice that if you want. Like, pick somebody and just pull energy and see what happens. I mean, I've never done that.
What I think with animals, it works amazingly. If or with little kids, like you don't have to imagine it. You don't have to picture it. You just pull energy, and we can do it right now. So what is the difference when you start pulling energy and then you smile a little bit and you come close and say, "Hey, like, I'm here."
What about a wink? Do you put a wink in there or no wink?
No wink.
No wink. Okay.
That's creepy.
Just checking.
Okay.
I didn't say put your tongue out. Come on.
So what happens? What happens if you're pulling energy? You lower your barriers and you say hi. You're being you. And what happens when you're being you with no barriers, no expectations? People see something they would like to have. So what if you could be that who people are looking for? And if you think this is too advanced, it's because we have still 4 more sessions to explore it.
Something else I was going to say that I realized again, as you talked about pulling energy and lowering your barriers, is that also creates a space of less or no judgment. And people don't have that in their daily life. By and large, they don't have that. And if they can be around someone who isn't judging them and is simply being present with them, that is a really comfortable, very attractive space to be in. So it just, right, it's like being attractive is not so much about fashion or cologne or hairstyle, obviously not hairstyle. I just gotta say it for myself. um, yeah, but it's more about the energy that you be, and if you just be, I think the word that this reality uses would be confident. It's even more than confident. It's beyond confident, I would say. It's just the knowingness of being yourself. And when you do that, you know, you attract people who are looking for that space. And as you said, you're more genuinely yourself, and you then are more attractive just simply by doing that.
So after you approach them, what would be the next step?
Well, I mean, if you're pulling energy, they're going to approach you, right? Yeah.
What, can you repeat that? Because that's secret. That only I can do because I'm a girl. Boys cannot do that.
Well, I would say boys have decided that they can't do that for sure. Like the whole idea is that men are supposed to approach women and women don't approach men, which is crappy. And if we do a women's call, we'll have to tell the women, just go talk to guys. They would love it. But the idea is pulling, like you're pulling energy, which is going to, I guess, ensnare. That's maybe not a great word, but like in your net of energy, you're going to just like start sucking people in. Again, maybe not a great choice of words.
But it works, because what happens is, and I was telling you how we met. It was not like, I know Nate is absolutely gorgeous, but I really wanted a massage. It's not like, it was not like, I am going to fuck this guy this night. But it was
Which
more
you
like,
didn't.
oh my God, which I didn't. It is much more the part of, wow, that looks amazing. This guy has these capabilities. I would like to have some of that. And I started pulling energy just because I can. And he came and acknowledged it. Most people don't know about this tool, and they won't come at you and say,
Right.
stop pulling so much energy, and just come to say hi. They will just approach you, or they will open their little door so you can approach them.
Right. Yeah. And I think, like, I've taken several classes with Shannon O'Hara. She's another access facilitator. And she, in one of the classes, she talked about acknowledgement leads to receiving. And acknowledgement is key. And if you do something or you create something, acknowledging that is a massive key to growing that, whether it be an ability or what have you. But in this case, you can look around at everywhere that you have already been pulling energy. Look at all the places where you've effectively done that. And for some reason, the example that popped in my head is if you're at a crowded bar or a club and you're trying to get a drink from the bartender, you're in a line with like 15 other people who are all pushed up against the bar, and you want to get the attention of the bartender. Pulling energy, that's something that you do naturally. Like you're not expecting any kind of relationship. You don't have any sort of prejudgment about the situation. And so pulling energy there will happen just naturally. And so if you look around at some of the places where you naturally will pull energy, like you're at a restaurant and you need the attention of the waiter or waitress, you pull energy in that situation as well. So
I love that example, because there we have a clear goal that is like getting a Coke or getting a drink.
Right.
So what if it could be as easy as that? And does that work for when you already have a relationship?
I'm sorry, I missed that question.
Does that work for when you already have a relationship?
Absolutely. I think that it absolutely does. And when you're in a relationship, you still need that ability to lower barriers and be present. And, you know, you asked me sort of what's the next step after you've done that, but you've already created a space of honesty in a sense. Like the barriers are down, and then the judgments are lowered. They aren't necessarily totally gone, but a lot of men and women in a initial meeting situation, everybody has their guard up. Everybody is trying to figure out what's the right way to do and be this. Like, what's the right thing to say? What's the best pickup line? And there isn't any best pickup line, because it isn't what you say, it's the energy that you be. So you can just say, "Hi, what's your name?" And that's going to be way more effective than something witty and smart that's said from a space of predatory desperation.
And what happens is, when you're looking at the right way, the right phrase, what you're doing is pushing energy. When you're looking at being right, what you do is you pull your barriers up and you push energy. So basically, you become a ram, a charger. And who wants a charger to approach you? Like, your normal emotion would be like, ah, and leave. And it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Like, unless you are totally into, I don't know, Viking fighting or something like that, you would
Hey,
totally.
everybody has their own thing. So if you
I
are, that's
know.
great.
But what I mean is that the normal reaction to pushing energy with barriers up, that is having the right phrase and approaching you with this need, as you say, of getting something. What you would get is basically someone pushing away and not coming forward. So everywhere that you decided, yeah, you cannot do that, because you cannot imagine that, or you cannot see that. Would you please just try and uncreate it?
Yes.
Thank
Right and
you.
wrong, good and bad, pock and pot online, shorts, boys, and beyonds.
And the best example I can find is little kids, like, I don't know, months old. They get into a restaurant, and it doesn't matter if you like kids or not, you have to acknowledge their presence. And every little kid can do that, without a gender situation, without a nationality situation. So if you ever were born in a small body, you know how to do this. Right or wrong, even that one.
So I like, in relation to this, you know, this is sort of an idea for what guys can do if they find someone attractive, is to just pull energy and kind of be yourself and be in the space of yourself, not in a forceful, pushy way. But what would be, if you're not maybe familiar with energy flows and how it feels, right? Then what is something to be aware of that a woman maybe is doing to who's attracted to me? Like, if I see a girl and I'm like, oh, does she like me? Is she interested? I don't know. Like, what would a girl do to pull the attraction of a man that she's interested in? Because a lot of women won't approach a man. They'll instead, I don't know, play with their hair or smile, or like, what would they do? What can I look for?
Oh, basically, yes, play with her hair and smile. And it's funny because they can do that without being attracted to you. They can do that just to prove they are attractive.
Okay, so if they're getting the attention of a man, it reinforces the idea to them that they wore the right outfit or that they're attractive.
Yeah. And that doesn't
Okay,
mean that they want to engage with you. So
right.
how would you break that barrier from I am attractive to I am attracted to you? And that's this next tool,
Okay.
which I totally love. That is ask her questions. And it works also with guys. Ask them questions about them.
Yeah. Like people usually really like to talk about themselves, and
Because they want to feel attractive. Because in
right.
their world, it's not about you, it's about them. Just as in the right and wrong tool. So what would you do?
Oh, you're asking me what would I do if I were to? Well, I mean, just some basic questions, of course. You know, like what's your name? That's usually important. Don't ask how old are you. That's probably a bad idea.
How much do you weigh?
Uh, that's an even worse idea. Yeah. I would say, you know, but also you could give a compliment. Everyone likes to receive compliments, and give them a compliment on their outfit or their choice of jewelry, or, you know, something else about them. Or look for something maybe that you have in common, like they're drinking a drink that you like, or you're drinking the same drink, or, you know, something. If it's at a coffee shop, like I have gone up to women and they're reading a book that I've read, and I ask them like, hey, so what do you think about the book? Or, oh, that's cool, like I read that a month ago. Or, you know, but you ask questions, like you said, and ask questions from a space of genuine engagement, and not just like, this is your playbook. I mean, it is your playbook, but you can't look like that.
So what I have seen that creepy guys do, it's
Creepy guys do, huh?
creepy guys.
So
It's like
this is sort of a, like, how steps to not be a creepy guy, which is good.
steps to not be a creepy guy. So what the creepy guys do is it's more like a job interview. Like, oh,
Right.
what's
Yeah.
your name? Elena. Oh, okay. And what do you do?
Right.
Whatever. And then like there are three questions like, oh, okay. And do you have kids? And because what happens if they say, oh, do you have kids? And you can say, okay, maybe she's married. Oh, are you married? Okay. And how old is your kid? And then they can actually guess your age. And it's like,
Yep.
and for example, me, I have a very old kid. He's 22. And they're like, oh, either you had it too young or you're very good at hiding your age. And you're like, should I think this is nice thing to do, nice thing to say, or like,
Right.
And then what they do is they close
Yeah.
their door themselves. So
Right.
maybe just asking about what they like, and this works both for men and women.
Right. And I think also, I mean, just listening to your list of questions, I know that I've been recently to a couple of access classes, and the people that I want to talk to more are the people who ask me non-standard questions. Because, like, the people who don't say, are you married? How old are you? Do you have kids? Like, those sometimes will
Are
come
you
up.
looking for a relationship? Can we have
Maybe,
sex?
right. All right. Maybe you have a different experience at class than I do.
No. I mean those are like normal questions. That's not what engages them,
Right.
basically.
Yeah. But I think, like, one of the things that I found really helpful is to be situation specific. I mean, not the weather. The weather is kind of too vague, but like, how did it, I don't want to say like, do you come here often? That's also not a great
But
question.
what do you think about what happened this morning?
Right. Yeah.
Or
Something.
it's funny how many people showed up. Even no, like doing these kind of things that are not like super personal, but that actually acknowledge the person that is there.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, a lot of times you're going to be talking to someone who has a friend, and then how do you two know each other? Right? I mean, sort of the stereotypical situation is there's one more attractive person and there have a less attractive person. But if you approach the two of them, you absolutely have to acknowledge both of them. You cannot ignore the less attractive one. I mean, you're not there for her, but you're going to shoot yourself in the foot if you don't include her in the conversation. So, you can ask questions about like their relationship, or something else which is not, as you said, like married, boyfriend, why are you here, those kind of things.
And the
Yeah.
other thing is that these asking questions works out very well with people that you're actually in a relationship with.
What?
What? Like,
Yeah.
how long has it been since you last asked, hey, what do you think about this?
Right.
Because what we start doing is we start assuming that as we know them, we don't need to know anything more about them. So sometimes just like, hey, we were watching Netflix together yesterday. What do you think about it? Or we were not watching Netflix yesterday. Hey, is like, would you like to see something else? Like, is there any, I don't know, whatever series you would like to see? Would you like to discuss a book? Would you like to, I don't know, engage in a new endeavor? Let's do salsa classes, whatever, no?
And something else in terms of that is you have to, I mean, however long your relationship has been, probably you have changed since the beginning. And you need to also allow them to have changed. So at the beginning, maybe they just ordered beer all the time, and now they order wine or cocktails. I know people who are like, what? You don't drink wine? Instead of, oh, when did you start drinking wine? Or, it's more of a decision about how the person has to be, and that they should always be as you met them, instead of both of you developing and changing and growing and evolving. So yeah, like you said, the questions, you might think after 6 months you know everything about them, but you don't. You absolutely don't. That's way too short of a time, even like 5 years. So always asking questions and being present. And like you said, what do you think about this? That's a great question.
And the other thing that works amazing is listen to what they are saying. And I know it
Yes.
sounds weird, but I don't know if you have had this experience. Like, oh, okay, what's your name? And what do you like? And I'm like, oh, I love playing saxophone. And instead of saying anything about playing saxophone that is like a very unusual thing to say, they
Man.
would go to the
Yeah.
next question in the questionnaire. No? Oh, okay. And
That
are you
is,
married? And it's like, or you say something like, oh, I don't know, I love dogs. I have 3 dogs and they're like really weird because they're this Mexican. And I start getting excited about my dogs because I love them. And they are like, oh, okay. And then they go to the next thing and it's like, and even if
yeah.
you don't think, are they actually listening to me? You feel the lack of acknowledgement. You feel this is just a way of getting what they want.
And this, I
And
mean, this really boils down to just being present and being aware. And I mean, you said about playing saxophone. As soon as you said, I mean, do you play saxophone? I don't know. Oh,
I
you
do.
do? Oh, so great. So like immediately I would be like, when did you start playing saxophone? Or how often do you play? Are you part of a group? Like, do you like jazz or do you like big band? Finding something that, like you said, that's a little unusual. And you can ask a few questions down that path that clearly is something that they're excited about and they want to talk. And then you give the impression, well, you are interested in what they're talking about.
And that usually gets the energy flowing. And it's so funny because what happens is we think that pulling energy and being present are these super complicated things.
Nope.
And it's just about being with the other person and acknowledging they are there. And it works in the first time they see you, like you see them. And it works when you have been in a relationship for 25 years. So where are you in relationship with all the rest of the people? Are they actually in your universe? Or are you just trying to interact with a movie that you don't feel part of? Ay, Dios mío. Man, everything that we're up. Can you please explain it to me?
Right, wrong, and bad, pocket pot, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds.
So we have a little time left. Is there any question? Hector, do you have any question? Jose? Hector is asking in the Spanish.
I have two other people, so let me ask if they have a question.
Okay.
Oh, great. Saxophone, really?
And I have played in bars and everything.
Oh, wow. As part of like a jazz trio or something?
More like rock and funk.
And there you go.
I have learned very interesting things.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
No questions from, no? All right. Wow.
So, and the other, sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
The other part is being totally clear on what you want.
Right.
Because sometimes if you're looking for less trouble, for example, in a relationship, maybe what you need is to end it. If you're looking for love, maybe what you need is a dog. Because we assume that another person will give us what we decided we lack. And that is not actually the case. And it's so funny because we have planned what this conversation would be about, and it was totally different.
It's all right.
It's all right.
But I mean, we did talk about that. I mean, I teach at a university here in Korea, and I interact with the students every day. And the number of people who think a relationship is going to make them happy, or the people who are unhappy because they are single, it's like everybody. They all have a signed relationship, this duty to make them happy. And they have these preconceived notions that being in a relationship is going to make them happy and that they'll be happier. But then I talk to the students who are in relationship, and I mean, they have some great photos on Instagram with their girlfriend or boyfriend, but they're not happier just because they have a girlfriend. There's maybe a couple weeks of that new relationship glow, but that fades. And then they look at the single people and they envy the single people. There's this constant envy of the other situation instead of looking at your situation and what works for you and acknowledging that you already have and be what can choose to be happy, regardless of who's connected to you or who's involved with you or if you have a relationship or not.
Wow, I love that. And so Jose has one question, and I think it's a little bit related to that. How to reactivate the interest after 25 years of marriage?
How many years?
25.
25. Jose, nice job. also along those lines, I mean, when people hear 25 years, the response is generally, wow, congratulations, how did you do it? Like there's always some surprise at a relationship continuing for so many years. So, I mean, you've done that. So acknowledge yourself for having 25 years. That's pretty good. And you want to reignite. Yeah, that's a really good question.
So what I would do,
yeah,
and this is very fast, is make everything about her. Just acknowledging the.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Make everything about her, about the other person. Because when you acknowledge the gift they are in your life, you cannot judge them. And if you don't judge them and pull energy, they have no other option but to lower their barriers. What happens in a relationship, and I was in a long-term relationship until I divorced, is you start putting all the projections, expectations, judgments, separations, should do, I'm right, all these kind of things, and they just become this wall between you two. So what would happen, and you can try this today, Jose, and that's only Jose can try it, nobody else. Just go home today and say, you know what? I realized today, I was looking at someone in the street and I realized today how lucky I am that you have put up with me until now. That I know I'm not an easy guy. I know I have all these weird ass shit things. I know I have a bad temper or whatever is your issue that she is constantly reminding you of. And you're still besides me. How lucky am I? So this is the part where you acknowledge the space and the universe of the other person. Just when you meet someone, it's the same thing we were talking about. Like, oh my God, you actually play saxophone? How awesome is that? And here it's like, you have actually put up with me for 25 years. How awesome is that? And not just say that. I mean, if you don't think it's awesome to be with her, like, let her go. But what is awesome about her? What keeps you coming back home every day? So
I would also say, I mean, 25 years is a very long time. And, you know, I still think, though, that you could come up with a genuine compliment once a day or a couple times a week. Just, you know, wow, like lunch was really good today, or wow, you're such a great cook, or wow, that dress looks nice on you. I mean, a compliment about a woman's appearance goes a lot further than guys think. And it's not a compliment like, ooh, nice rack. Like that doesn't.
Nice boobs, no.
Yeah, that doesn't work. But like, you know, oh, that dress fits you really well, or you look good in that color, or
that joke you said was so funny.
Sure. And I mean, I know this is such a terrible cliche, but buy some flowers just because it's Wednesday. I mean, I know. What do you think about that as a woman?
Unless I have said I hate flowers, I would appreciate. Like, for example, I don't like cut flowers, but I love orchids. So if my husband of 25 years came with cut flowers, and he knows I don't like cut flowers, I have never ever bought a cut flower, I would say he's not listening. But if he came with some orchids and say, you know what, I passed through a gardening store, and I saw this orchid, and it just told me, take me home to Elena, I would be glad, even if I am mad at you. Even if I don't melt in that second, that would change something.
And that's another thing is, you know, women like to have attention paid to them. And if you take, that's, I think, the other call. I'm not sure. So, but what I mean is just, if you just pay attention for maybe 2 or 3 days, she'll drop a hint or she'll say something that will let you know, like, oh, and it could be something stupid like, we need more toilet paper. And you just go buy toilet paper. And then she's like, wow, he's paying attention. He listens to me. That's amazing. And it's not sort of romantic. It's not flowers. It's not jewelry. It's not, you know, a nice restaurant. But especially after 25 years, you know, showing that you still pay attention, showing that you're still aware of their needs and desires, I think that would go a really long way. So yeah, I mean, ask questions, be present, be aware, couple compliments. We're a little iffy on the flower situation, apparently.
So it's time. We would like to invite you, if you're liking this and you would like to explore more, we'll have a 4-hour series. So it's 4 sessions of 1 hour, right?
Yes. Yep. You're in charge, right? You're right always.
Of course, I'm right always. I'm a girl. And where we hope to make you the frontliners of the new heartthrobs.
Right.
Los galanes de moda.
It sounds so much better when you say that.
It will be $25 the call. You can buy one of them. You can buy all 4 of them. And I will send you the details in the recording email. Gracias, Hector.
Thank you so much, Hector. Really.
My pleasure. Thanks to you guys.
It's been a joy to watch you over there. Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, Nate, for accepting the invitation.
I'm super excited. Like it's gonna be fun.
It's so funny when you see the he said, she said approach. Like, interesting.
Okay.
Gracias.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.